Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Good Friday morning at 6:06. Thanks for tuning in. In 10 minutes, Mike Van Meter running for Congress. He's going to tell you why you should vote for him. 6:35, Chuck Smith is going to do the same, why you should vote for him for the Republican nomination for Senate in Virginia. 7:05, Stephen Son, the former chief of police for the Capitol Police, will join us. 7:35, Mike Clancy is running in Virginia's 10th district, as that primary election day is next Tuesday. And then at 8:05, Congressman Mike Cloud of Texas, who was on Capitol Hill with President Trump meeting congressional Republicans yesterday. That's all coming up. Right now, though, we still have business to do with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good. Happy Friday, Larry.
Patrice is doing the head bob thing.
This is MJ, of course. I mean,
you're doing the whole head. All right. You do. You make me hipper. I like that. Thank you. No comment. Oh, Larry, nobody can do that. I said hipper, not hip, just hipper. All right, James Carville. You know James Carville, political strategist. Yeah. Of course, he rose to fame and fortune by winning 2 consecutive presidential elections on behalf of his client, Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. He is a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. He just absolutely wants Democrats to win at all costs, and he continues to be very concerned about where his party is right now. Leading up to this November. He appeared on Donnie Deutsch's podcast, which, by the way, once again proves my adage that everyone, and I mean literally everyone in this country, has a podcast.
I don't have one, Larry. Do I need to start one?
Well, no, you do by participating in this show. We put this out on podcast every day. Absolutely. And actually, I shouldn't even say everyone has a podcast. Really, Donnie Deutsch having a podcast is proof that anyone can have a podcast.
Not necessarily that they should have a podcast.
Well, I mean, listen, I guess he got James Carville to say some crazy crap, so we're going to play it, so I guess that's something.
All right.
Wouldn't have happened without Donnie Deutsch's podcast. All right, so here's James Carville sort of lamenting on where the Democrats are right now in this election cycle.
We have a huge male problem all across the board, but particularly, I hate this term, but I'll use it, communities of color, like as if all people that are not white are the same. It's stupid. And I do think, and people got a little upset with me when I told Maureen, New York Times, but I think Democratic culture has too many preachy females. It's too much. Don't eat hamburgers. Don't watch football. All right, wear condom. Like, man, leave me alone. You okay? I got a life to lead. The guy works at a tire repair shop in suburban Atlanta. Was working 50 hours a week, making $16.50 an hour, and he wants to watch the football game. He wants to smoke dope and drink beer, and then everybody's telling him he's slothful, and they reject that. And I just think some of it is cosmopolitan condensation, if you will. Like, you need to lead the kind of life we lead, not the kind of life you lead. And it pisses people off.
Well, that's across the board. That's black, white. That's a big part of Trump. That's a big part of Trump.
It's Hispanic. We're going to lose Hispanic males.
Yeah.
We're going to lose them.
And that's on that male-female issue. That's on, very much they want to see the strong, this is a generalization, but strong dominant male in a household.
All right, so Patrice, because this hits on various levels, but on the basic overall message that he was sending, that partisan politics right now can be divided right, left, blue, red, Republican, Democrat, can sort of be defined by Democrats as really right now run by, as he puts it, a lot of preachy females trying to tell everybody else in the country how they should live their life. Is there some truth to that?
There's a lot of truth to that, and I'll take it one step further. I think it's not just preachy females; it's these intersectional Black preachy females who very often are single, very often are part of the LGBTQ community and have been elevated to nearly the top of the oppression ladder. The only person above that are white males dressed up as women right now. But in short, because they claim, these black women claim that they got Joe Biden elected, that they are the backbone of the Democratic Party, that they're the ones who should be just deciding what the priorities are. They tend to be very radical. They don't tend to support traditional families because a lot of them are not married. Let's just be realistic here. So yeah, it's not surprising it's surprising that James Carville will say this publicly, but I think that there is an understanding that right now who's making the decisions in terms of the agenda on the left are a lot of preachy women who, frankly, you know what? I think they're I'll stop my point there.
Oh, man. Well, I actually, all right, let me pick up on it because I think there is some truth to it. And listen, if you look at how people vote in this country,
yes.
Men tend to vote Republican, women tend to vote Democrat. But there's another element to this. If you're a married woman, by a small margin, but married women tend to vote Republican as well. So it's not just this idea of preachy women. It's a very certain kind of woman. These are single women, women who aren't married, women who aren't in a relationship, women who probably aren't mothers, or at least not married mothers.
They may be, or I mean, they may have children, but that being unmarried and their financial situation is tenuous, even if they're high earners as a single parent or a single earner.
And there is, I think that you've sort of started to pull on something here that I think is quite relevant, in that they get into politics and wish to advance a political agenda about what they believe, how they believe the world should be run, or what would make our society better. And rather than improving our society by raising children and building a family and the nucleus that used to be the building block of a strong society, instead, rather than, from the bottom up, building that foundation, family by family, child by child, to make for a better future, instead, they wish to get degrees, go into political office, or work in the social structures of academia, the media, or in politics, and be able to sort of set policies that they believe will, in fact, improve society.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. It's very much a top-down approach. It's an elitist. That elitism came to my mind when he was speaking as well. It's this idea that we know better. It's the philosophy that technocrats, bureaucrats are smart enough to engineer society. And frankly, it's also the belief that, this is the baby of feminism. This is what third-wave feminism has led to, which is a lot of, quote, successful women who have a lot to say about life and are willing to use their levers of power to control and shape society. But there's a huge pushback against this coming up from Gen Z, which is hilarious.
And I think Republicans need to figure out how to harness that. I agree. The latest poll shows that younger voters under 30, are actually leaning toward Trump now. You remember the videos during the pandemic, and we'll leave it at this, where you would see a woman in a mask, triple masked probably, on the other side of the street, walking on the sidewalk, and she would come charging across the street and start yelling at a person who was walking by themselves without a mask. Right? We saw this often, and they started, screaming at them in their camera because, of course, the dude saw that was coming, so he started his camera so he could catch it, screaming at them to put on a mask. And you watch a video like that, and you say, I know exactly who that person voted for.
Yeah. Yes.
You know exactly the political affiliation of that person. You don't want to stereotype. You don't want to paint with a broad brush. But when you talk demographics and politics, you sort of have to do that. And, listen, your presence here on this program, Julie's presence, Mercedes' presence, when we have Molly Hemingway, or when we have Angela Morabito, and all of the great, incredible, strong women that we've put on this program that I get to interact with every morning, you guys represent a different way for women and different approach. You're still strong. You're still trying to build a better country, but you're not. I don't think you're guilty of what James Carville would call
we're not
Preachy
finger
women
wagging at
trying to run your
everybody.
lives.
Exactly. We're not. In fact, we are the ones who want you to be free. We're not
Yes.
the ones telling you this is how you got to live your life. No,
get the
live your life
government
how
out
you
of our
want.
lives.
Just don't kill anybody.
6:15. That's the good basics for a strong society. And stop sending men into girls' locker rooms. Is that too much to ask?
Because traffic doesn't always follow the pattern. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
The 11th Congressional District, which includes Alexandria and parts of Arlington. Gerry Connolly is your congressman, and he's gotten pretty complacent there. He thinks he's congressman for life. It's a lock. No one has a chance. Well, Michael Van Meter is running for the Republican nomination, and he thinks he's got a chance, and he wants to tell you all about it right now. He joins us. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, Larry and Patrice, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Morning.
We're great. And I'm sorry for setting it up that way, but, this is the mindset from the media who cover this at the Washington Post, and it's the mindset of Gerry Connolly, and it frustrates me because no one should be congressman for life, and Gerry Connolly should have to answer to the voters every 2 years. So how are you going to make him answer to voters? How are you going to hold his feet to the fire and respond to his policies? Because I don't see things in his district getting better. Do you?
No, not at all. In fact, it's interesting because everywhere I go in this district, Larry, everyone says they do not like Gerry Connolly. In fact, I think even Gerry Connolly doesn't like Gerry Connolly. He's been there forever, and remember, he held office even before he went into Congress. So he's been a staple of this area for a very, very long time. And what has he done for you? Your taxes have, in the last 7 years, have doubled. Crime is through the roof. He has backed every single policy that Joe Biden has put forward. He recently was overseas in Ukraine, and he talked about how their borders are our borders. Of course, he does nothing to protect our borders, and now we have fentanyl coming across the border. And it's the number one cause of death, Larry and Patrice, is for people between the ages of 18 and 49 is fentanyl, the number one cause of death. And that's our military age. And we see what's going on around the world. We have Russian ships right off our coast, and we're killing off our military age people. And people are fed up with it. We've had enough. We've had enough of Joe Biden, and we've had enough of Gerry Connolly, and we need to get rid of both of them. And I plan on doing that.
All right. Well, I mean, that you set up a lot of different issues, just national issues. Talk to me a little bit about your background, though. You were commissioned officer in the Navy, and you served 8 years as a helicopter pilot. I mean, I think there's a greater appreciation, hopefully again these days, for members of Congress who have served, because there's recognition that there are some right now and brewing are significant foreign issues that could very well pull the United States full force 100% into conflict and potentially into war. So talk to us about your record and how you would approach that when it comes to Congress's role in greenlighting funding for these engagements and potentially even greenlighting engagements.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, I served 8 years in the Navy. I was a helicopter pilot. And then after that, I've worked as a corrections officer. I was a police officer in Washington, D.C., and then I spent just under 21 years in the FBI. And I currently work as a therapist, a drug and alcohol therapist at a major hospital here in Northern Virginia. And so I see it frontline. Now, the bottom line is I've spent my entire adult life serving this nation. I've taken the oath to this nation 5 times over. Gerry Connolly's never done it once, not done it once. In fact, back in the early 1970s, he not only didn't serve, but he worked as a counselor to help other people avoid service during the Vietnam conflict. And it's despicable to me. I have no respect for this man at all. But when you talk about dragging us into these wars, I find it very interesting that somebody like Gerry Connolly, who has never served this nation in uniform, really is pretty loosey-goosey with sending other people's children into combat. And I'll tell you, the people that are the most reluctant to send our young men and women into combat are veterans. And when we look at how quickly we are starting to drift towards armed conflict, Americans being dragged into armed conflict, both in Ukraine and Israel and elsewhere, by the way. I mean, we have a lot of other hot spots around the world, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
It's strictly the weakness of Joe Biden. You can really point to that in seeing how our enemies across the world look at weakness, and that's what causes conflict. And who ends up fighting those conflicts but our young men and women who are volunteering themselves, who are now subjected to woke policies and the destruction of our military. And it sickens to me to see what's going on. And I do not believe that we are as prepared as we need to be moving forward. And we need leadership both in the White House and in Congress. And we need to hand Donald Trump, and I do say Donald Trump because that's who's going to win this next election, a Congress that is going to support him in his policies to ensure that we do not become further involved in these conflicts around the globe. We're tired of it. Americans are tired of it. And, damn it, our military, when sent into conflict, will need to have the equipment, the supplies, the training, and the will and the leadership to carry out the victory in whatever conflict that is, and not protract it for 10, 20 years, for goodness sake. And that's what our military faces, and it's frustrating. And people are tired of it. People in Northern Virginia are tired of this, and they want leadership, and that's not Gerry Connolly.
Yeah, Gerry Connolly represents business as usual, and I don't think people are happy with business as usual right now. So let's give Gerry Connolly a run for his money. He's Mike Van Meter. He's going to be your Republican nominee. You can find out more information about him at vanmeterforvirginia.com. Thanks, Mike. You're unopposed in the primary, right? So this is time to ramp up for the general, right?
That is correct. I'm running opposed. Gerry does have an opponent on June 18th. But everybody, and thanks, Larry, because I need to plug this, get out and vote. A lot of people are not going out. It's very low turnout. But remember, we have a Senate candidate to nominate. And please get out there and select our candidate, and then we're going to run together into victory on November 5th.
Thank you, sir.
Great.
It's 6:24.
Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:37 now. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in this Friday, 14th day of June. Happy Flag Day. Happy birthday, Donald Trump. Coming up at 7:05, Stephen Sund, the former chief of police for the Capitol Police. Lots in the news to talk to Chief Sund about. 7:35, Mike Clancy running for Congress in Virginia 10. And 8:05, Congressman Mike Cloud is joining us. Talk about what Donald Trump had to say in that meeting where Trump was in town yesterday meeting the Republicans on Capitol Hill. I'm Larry O'Connor with Patrice. Patrice, were you part of that Trump meeting yesterday?
No, I wasn't, but I heard they had a good time with him.
Apparently he lectured Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Uh-oh.
He told Marjorie Taylor Greene to be nice to Speaker Johnson. And Marjorie Taylor Greene Joining us right now is Chuck Smith. Chuck Smith wants to be your Republican nominee for Senate in Virginia. Chuck Smith, by the way, if I may say, is a force of nature. Every time I am in the same room with this man, he absolutely blows me away. Always have a great conversation with him. And he wants your vote this Tuesday. Chuck Smith, thanks for joining us, sir.
Absolutely. Larry, Patrice, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Listen, early voting ends tomorrow, and then the actual election day is Tuesday. Make your final argument here about why you should be the man to represent Virginia in the U.S. Senate.
Listen, without a doubt, I'm the best qualified candidate in this race. I'm the only Marine, only Navy JAG commander retired after 26 years of combined service, more military service, more law experience. I'm the only lawyer that's practiced law for 45 years. I'm the only immigration lawyer. I'm the only military lawyer to fix the problems with our military people who have lost their careers. And, of course, I'm the only constitutional lawyer that's practiced law longer than anybody else. When you look at the problems that we face, not just at the border, at the Constitution, with Donald Trump being tried all over the country, with the derision of the Constitution, I'm the guy that brings to the table the experience to fix the problems that we've got. And look, I've got patriotism running through my veins, born on the 4th of July. I've practiced law longer. I've been in branches of the military longer. I've done more things. And when Donald Trump takes office, he needs someone by his side. And I give him that from Virginia, not just to produce for him the black vote, not just to produce for him the Hispanic vote. I'm the only guy in this race that speaks fluent Spanish. When we're talking to Hispanics about why they should come through our front door, not our back door, even the people legal in this country want illegal immigration to stop. They want people to come through our front door. I bring the most experience to the table without a doubt, without a question. People say, hey, you guys are so much alike. I say, look, I am nothing like my opponents. They are great people, good husbands, good fathers. The issues we face today, I'm the guy to fix those issues.
Well, let's dig in on that, Chuck. I mean, separate yourselves from your opponents here. You talk a lot about the border, closing the border, and even I think you were asked by the Virginia pilot about Social Security and Medicare. You know, how is your approach different to your competitors in terms of dealing with our national debt, which is skyrocketing, dealing with thinking about the tax cuts that are going to expire, that's going to boost taxes for pretty much everybody, and the immigration crisis. What's your plan?
Well, the plan is very simple. We need to do something about it. We need to fix it. Let's talk about the border. My opponents want to put a Band-Aid over it. They want to allow people to stay and then bring them in. I think one of them mentioned that as soon as I am a United States Senator, I will pass a law. If you set one foot in the United States, I'm going to bar you forever. Well, wait a minute. How about the immigration lawyer stepping in here and saying, we already have that law. Why don't we enforce the laws we've got? Another one says, I'm going to have pro-life for all the life for everybody. Wait a minute. We can't be on both sides of the abortion issue here. That's what the Democrats have killed us for a very, very long time. We need to have one policy, one rule, one faith, one belief. And I give them that. I say we need to have women do with their bodies what they want. Whatever they want to do with their bodies is fine. But at the moment that conception takes place, that's life. And guess what? It's protected under the Constitution. So when we look at the debt that we face, people want to continue these foreign wars, get involved in Ukraine. I say, oh, heck no. We need to stop sending our children and our children's children to the promise of a better tomorrow on the backs of participating in war after war after war after war. You want to talk about fixing our debt problem. Why don't we stop illegal immigration and stop this process of having our schools overrun, having our not just our driver's licenses. I think in Virginia they passed something recently where they get health care. How can you be illegal in this country? How can we fix these problems by putting Band-Aids over these issues? I'm the guy to do it.
Chuck Smith wants to be your senator, and his website is chucksmithva.com, chucksmithva.com. Chuck, if you could, what's your strategy to beat Tim Kaine? I'm told by all of my political superiors and people who know the news much better than I do, I'm just a morning radio talk show host, that Tim Kaine can't be beat. He's going to raise more money, and he's beloved by Virginians everywhere, and he's senator for life. So how do you beat Tim Kaine?
Without a doubt, he is not senator for life. We Republicans have always put people up against Tim Kaine by throwing money at the issue. You just can't throw money at Tim Kaine. You've got to beat him at every step that he faces. Tim Kaine is fluent in Spanish. None of these other guys speak Spanish. He's pulling from the Hispanic community. I'm the only one that speaks the language of the Hispanic people to talk to them about the issues, not just that they face, but their own beliefs that people should come through our front door. Tim Kaine has practiced law for, 30-some years? Okay, fine. I beat him out of the gate. I've been practicing law for 45 years. Tim Kaine has always sounded the horn about abortion, and our guys come with these lame excuses about what they're going to do with abortion. It doesn't resonate in these communities. If you look at any candidate right now, I am the only guy that reaches the black community. We are 19% of the population, actually 16.5%, but we are the largest percent of the population. We have the Hispanic community right on our heels. But here's the point. I bring more issues to the table that fix the problems that we face. I bring more talent to the table. Never before in the history of Virginia have they had a candidate who has practiced law longer than anybody who's ever run for statewide office in Virginia's 400-year history. Never ever in Virginia have they ever had a black candidate who is fluent in Spanish. Never ever have in Virginia have they ever had a black candidate who makes no exceptions on all of our issues. That's the thing that has been killing us, and that's what's killing us as Democrats. We say one thing in West Virginia and another thing in North Virginia. I am consistent. I bring more things to the table than any other candidate we have ever seen in Virginia's history, period, without a doubt.
And a proud U.S. Marine as well. So that's quite the package. Chuck Smith, always great talking with you. You're a good man.
Thank you so much, Chuck.
We're proud to have you on the show. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. God bless.
The time is 6:44. Nathan Wade, he was the special counsel hired by Fani Willis to prosecute the RICO case against Donald Trump. Nathan Wade had no experience with RICO cases, but he did have experience with Fani Willis in bed. He had some very interesting experiences, a little wonka, wonka, wonka situation there. So, of course, that created a scandal. He's been removed from the case. Now the entire thing is in question as the Georgia State Supreme Court decides whether Fani Willis should stay on. Nathan Wade sat down with Caitlin Collins at CNN, and, the interview was going along just fine until Caitlin Collins asked a really tough question.
Just to clarify, when did the romantic relationship between the two of you start?
Yeah, so, we get into, there's been this effort to say that, okay, these exact dates are at issue, and these exact dates are, I'm getting signaled here.
Yeah, he got signaled by his media PR guy. They kept the cameras rolling. They unhooked him from the microphone. They go into the corner and they consult on how to answer this question. Now, you'll hear what his answer was. But, Patrice, think about this. I mean, I don't know about you. I haven't had a whole lot of romantic relationships. But for those that I have had, I know when my first kiss was. I know, when things got serious. I know, certainly know when things got physical. I mean, this guy is acting like, it's hard to nail down an exact date. He's such a liar. It's so obviously
it's hilarious. It's hilarious to see that still to this point he doesn't want to give a straight answer because obviously the straight answer is that they would have lied to the court.
Right. Exactly. Why else would you have to go into a little huddle with an advisor about how to answer that question?
And listen to him stumble over every word, trying to grasp for okay, what did I say on the stand? What did I swear an oath to saying? I mean, it's embarrassing.
Let's get this in because he comes back on camera and then listen to how he answers it.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Just to revisit the question, it was to clarify when the romantic relationship started and when it ended.
Sure. So, I believe that the public has, through the testimony and other interviews, the public has a clear snapshot that this is clearly just a distraction.
Well, there you go. That answers it.
Sounds like Karine Jean-Pierre. The president has been clear about this.
Yeah. And any question about whether, they violated every ethical standard and misused public funds by going off to trips to Costa Rica to do the nasty, that's just a distraction. It's a distraction from the real job, which is to keep Donald Trump from being president.